Now let's look at how to set up an equation to solve this word problem. Eva's salary for next year is $44,940. This includes 7% increase over this year's salary. Found Eva's present salary. One thing we need to pay attention is right here, a 7% increase over this year's salary. So a mistake is some students might take this number right here and multiply by 7%. They think that gives us the increase of the salary, but that is wrong because the 7% is based on this year's salary, which means the present salary, and that's unknown. Notice that that number is for next year. So there's no way we can find the increase without knowing the present salary. But that's exactly the question. What's the present salary? So it's a little bit going to be easier if we set up equation to solve it, because all you have to do is to translate words to symbols. Okay, so the word this here means next year's salary. So this, it's the number of 44,940. I'm just going to put in there. So the next year's salary, this is for next year. How do we get next year's salary? Next year's salary, let me maybe write down the relation first. Next year's salary is equal to this year's salary, or let's call it the present salary, plus the 7% increase, plus the increase. So intuitively, if you want to find present salary, we just need to find the increase and subtract it from next year's salary. But unfortunately, it doesn't work because I don't know how much increase we got. We only know it's 7%, but 7% is not exactly the dollar amount. So we have to find out what increase is, which says what's the increase? The increase is 7% over present. So which means the increase is going to be 7% times the present salary. Like we said, over means based on. So this 7% is based on present salary. So you take present salary and multiply by 7%. Let's say if you make $100, the 7% increase, which means $1. So every $100, you get an extra $7. So that you take $100 times by 7%. Similarly, whatever the present salary is, multiplied by 7%, that gives us the increase. But the only thing is we don't know what the present salary is. So this relationship, first of all, I need to make sure you understand this. So the next year's salary, which is that number right there, can be obtained by present salary plus increase. How do you find the increase? Increase tells us here it's 7% times present salary, because 7% over present salary, which means times. Okay, so now all we got to do is to plug in numbers. Next year's salary, $44,940 equals present salary, we don't know. So you can declare this as your variable x. So when I see present salary, I use a variable x. Now next is plus. The increase, again, we don't know the dollar amount, but we can get the increase, the dollar amount, from 7% times present. Well, we don't know present, but we use the variable x for that. So every English word phrase is replaced by a mathematical symbol. So the only unknown thing here is the present salary. Present salary and present salary. We put x there. And notice that 7% is a decimal number, because when you convert 7% to the decimal, you get 0.07. So by the way, a quick review of 7%. The symbol here means 7 divided by 100, those two zeros. And 7 divided by 100, you will move the number is going to get smaller when you divide a number by 100, and you just move the decimal point to the left 2 times. So add 2 zeros here, 1, 2 times. That gives you a 0.07. And so that is replaced by decimal times x. Now we, as you can see, this is not really, this is the only decimal number here. If you want to get rid of decimal by multiplying 100 here, 100 here, 100 there, you can. And this time I'm going to do a different way. So I'm just going to go ahead and combine and keeping the decimal in here. The number in front of x, nothing, which means 1. So you're adding 1x and 0.07x. 1 plus 0.07. Line up the decimal. There's no decimal for the whole number, but it's always at the end. So that gives you 1.07. So combining these two gives us 1.07x. And on the left-hand side, we keep it. Now next, we're going to do division, lump division here. And divide both sides by 1.07. If you don't want to do this and you want to use calculator, you can go ahead and use the calculator to find the answer. So if you do want to know how to do this, first of all, when you divide both a decimal number, you got to move the decimal point to the right to get rid of the decimal point. On the top, you're going to do the same thing. Move to the right 2 places by adding 2 zeros, since top has no decimal point, which is invisible. It's like in the end. So you're dividing 4, 4, 9, 4, and 3 zeros by 107. And if you're interested in more examples how to divide decimal numbers, let me know. I can make videos for that. You should have learned that in DO5 class. So now let's divide 107. Divide this by 107. 107 does not go into 4 or 44. It goes into 449. So it's exactly 7 times. So we have, oh, I'm sorry, not 7 times here. So mistake. So 4 times. Okay, so 428, and we subtract them, we get 214, and then 107 goes into 214 2 times. And now we move all the zeros up, because 107 goes into 0, 0 times, 0, 0 times, 0, 0 times. So the final answer for x will be, because any number divided by itself is going to be 1. So we're just going to have x on the right. And that's the division that gives us $42,000 as the answer. And do a quick check. It makes sense because the present salary should be smaller than next year's salary. And you can also plug in 42,000 times 7%. And that gives you a quick, when you do 42,000 times 7%, 0.07. And that gives you a $2,940 increase. So that's the increase in dollar amount. So be very careful here when you do this homework question. It's kind of similar. Instead of having a 7% rate increase, that what you're going to do is 7%, or whatever the percentage is, tax. So make sure when a quick explanation, the homework. So this is something I think most of students probably know. In case you don't know, when we go to buy things, most of the time we gotta pay tax. So the actual amount we gotta pay, maybe I can just call it a total amount we pay, is equal to the original price, whatever the tag is, the price tag is. Original price plus a tax, but that tax is the dollar amount. How do you get that? How do you calculate the tax? The tax is whatever the percentage you have. Let's say 7% in Ohio. So 7% times, or 7.25% times the original price. So the tax is based on the original price. It's not based on the price that already includes the tax. So always take the 7% times the original price. That gives you the formula that you can use when you do the homework question. So the total, let's say the total of the car, the total amount you pay for the car, not only you have to pay the original price, but also you have to pay like a percentage of the original price, which gives you the tax. Okay, but in homework, the amount they gave you, that is the total, which already includes the price, the tax in there. So when you try to find the tax, don't use the amount given to multiply by 7%, because tax is always the 7% times, has to multiply original, not times the total, which already includes the tax in there. Okay, so that's something, be careful. So it's very similar. So the total here corresponds to the next year's salary, and original price corresponds to our present salary. And then again, this is like the increase is like the tax. So you similarly you do 7% times the present salary. It's very similar, although they look like different questions. Original price, it's just like our present salary, and 7% increase is just like tax rate, and total is next year's salary. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to contact me.